I'm Ashley M. Jenkins, and this is my good friend and colleague, Ashley Cruz. And
Hi.
we have discovered how important it is in this community to introduce you guys to a little bit about what we do from a consulting aspect, but also from interim board officers. So Ashley's going to go ahead and start the screen share so we can kind of break down what a board of directors is, when you need them, why you should get them, so that you're not building your business all by yourself.
Okay, so a board of directors, just kind of a little snippet about it, is basically just a group of individuals that oversees the operations of your business and creates that structure and just how everything flows and works. They work together to create policies. They represent shareholders and the overall governance of the company.
So this is more my role, what I do. And so I've pivoted from being a coach and consultant to coming in as an interim board officer. And I work with people based upon value. So that means that whatever we create together, we're always looking at the return on investment. We're looking at establishing value in someone's existing business. This might be a startup, it might be a seasoned company, and it may be a company that's plateauing with a lot of overwhelm. So you're busy, and that's a great problem to have. However, it's looking at when you actually earn $50, $100 to $1,000 an hour as a CEO. However, you're doing low-level tasks that are $10. They're maybe $15, $40 an hour. It's learning how to actually lead and go into leadership versus you staying stuck in the doing it yourself in the details. And so I'm someone who helps manage operations and execute. I come in and I help with mass strategy, vision execution. And if you don't have a vision, that's something that we can definitely help you grow. If you're stagnant and you're doing things that are in what we refer to as a red ocean, so a highly competitive space, so that you can stay in an innovative space and move into new uncharted territories, possibly in your industry or in your markets. These are things that also, as an interim board officer, I come in, and so it could be culture that we're creating, it could be staff that we're hiring, it could be sadly staff that we are firing and transitioning. It's going into operations, it's going into systems and structures and exploring all of these things. And that's what actually prompted Ashley and I to meet, is that we found a business that not only needed me, because they had been in business for over 10 years, but they needed someone like her too. And that was something that, as the discovery process took off, we didn't go into that company, but we started to actually grow this relationship, and we noticed how important this is in everyone's industry. And so Ashley is actually a chief financial officer, and she does that as an interim organizing officer, right? We're looking at operations. So this is everyday tasks. This could be quarterly objectives. This could be things that you do in your day-to-day, and looking at the performance of how you need to do it better, or how you need to get someone else to perform in an optimal way. A lot of people like to come into positions and they like to hire 1099. So if you are actually a CEO, you might be thinking to yourself, well, it's cheaper for me to just hire 1099s. But in fact, the more that you're telling them what to do and inhibiting their autonomy in your organization, it actually shows that they might actually be W-2s. And so it's looking at not only the efficiency and the accuracy of who your team members are, but it's making sure that they're structured properly, because if you mess that up, Uncle Sam will come back to collect on you, and that's something that we want to avoid. We also look at creating policies. So policies could be something that's an internal, or it could be external. So external could be how your clients are managed, how systems and structures support customer management. It could also be things that are established to adhere to company culture or to protect the nature of your business. These could also be things like boundaries and setting healthy expectations with other people with open communication. And so we look at all these procedures that really help to hedge a more well-rounded vision and get more accomplished. And terms of management, though, management is something that if we need to see the overseas of operations, so this could be pulling in new team members, it could be hiring contractors, it could be looking at different systems and different things that you are using to advance whatever it is that you're working with. And so it could be things that are in an online space, it could be social media, it could be honestly just some kind of anything from like accounting to gamifying your business to making things much more diverse. But all of these things are things that I jump in with someone on, and there's so many different industries that I go into. And so I think the next slide kind of talks a little bit about, right, the next one goes into the type of companies that I've gone into the back of in the past have been UX and UI. So this is design and operations from an analytical aspect with website design, software as a service, science and health field. So my background is actually, I'm an exercise physiologist, and I ran a 5-year boutique fitness facility as the CEO, operating CEO of that company. I've worked with people from the Farm Bill from 2018 in hemp, CBD, and THC brands. I've done a lot of e-commerce companies from clothing and accessories, all the way into beauty brands and like small, like niche type of toys and goods. Infopreneurship. So if it's something that you're a speaker, an author, or coach, or you're in the education field, I've helped lots of people create multiple different platforms, from metamaterial companies all the way into nanoparticle companies. So teaching other coaches and consultants how to actually step in and up their game is something that I have worked on over the last 2 years. So if you're a career coach, if you're a mindset coach, if you're a health coach, if you're a trauma coach, those are things that like I get in, and very quickly you go from thinking that you're going to have a signature offer or that you're going to have a $10,000 a month, and you actually operationally create the structures that allow people to come in and have what we refer to as a value journey. And so those are all different industries that I've jumped in with.
So a CFO or a chief financial officer, that would be my role, is someone that helps an organization with creating and maintaining their financial strategy. So they focus on what the business will be doing in the future and if it aligns with how they're currently performing or operating. So sometimes people get a little mixed up with the different roles in the financial team between a CFO or a controller or a bookkeeper. They're all important, but they're a little bit different. And so like a CFO is more focused on future strategy, increasing the value and the revenue of the business. The controller is a little bit more focusing on what they've done and where they're at. So that's what the difference there is. And then, so the CFO looks at your business goals, your company mission and vision, your current numbers and the strategy you have in place right now, and then also comparing that to the industry and what's going on out there. So, and as you can see, there will be kind of some repetitive between Ashley's slides and my slides, because some of the things we do kind of overlap, and that's why we wanted to create this this slide for you and talk about having a board of directors. So when you're considering when you should add a CFO, whether you're a startup and you're having fast growth, so you're a business that you're growing really fast and you need guidance to figure out exactly where you should be investing in things, what you should be doing as far as where you should hire first, marketing, anything like that. That's where having that additional financial oversight would be helpful. If you need a strategy, but you're not ready for an employee, that's what adding on a virtual or outsourced CFO is helpful, because that cost is a lot lower than hiring an employee with a full-time salary and benefits and all of that. And if you're expanding or you're considering an acquisition, so if you need to create a plan to obtain capital, if you're trying to add a new location or acquire a new product or service. So we can come in and help with all of that. And so a little bit of why you would hire an outsourced CFO, kind of going back into that hiring a contractor versus an employee. So for example, a full-time CFO, the salaries can range anywhere between 175,000 a year to 300,000 plus, obviously, you know, just depending on what type of business it is. And so an outsourced CFO is only a portion of that. And then for strategy, they work with you to determine the best strategy to achieve the goals you have set for your business. So whether you might be focused on providing the lowest cost product to someone or the highest quality, you want to have a strategy that works with that, not just a general catch-all. And then as far as network, this is actually a perfect example of, you know, being connected with other professionals. You want to find a CFO that has a solid network. So like Ashley, the COO, connecting with human resource professionals, accountants, tax strategists, just having that access to a number of professionals that can help your business. Clients that I have worked with, some case studies. I worked with someone in the insurance industry, and I was able to determine where over $19,000 per year was going to, based on fees. They were being charged fees, and just changing up a few things really cut that down. And then applying for funding. I have someone I'm working with right now that was obviously hit by COVID. And so we're applying for a grant to keep her business in line. So then also applying for funding. I'm working with someone right now. We're putting a proposal together to get a grant for her business. And other funding that could be available would be loans or business lines of credit. Also working with businesses to find the latest tech that can help your business. So tools that will help with efficiency. You may have current programs that you're using, but you might need updated or newer software that's going to really move your business forward. And then pricing strategy. I recently worked with a client and was able to do a forecast and a budget and really determine what her break even was. So then we could find out exactly what the minimum should be when she's charging her clients. But then also we're able to see, once you have that break even number, we need to charge your services for what would keep you profitable.
Currently, so when we were talking and we originally started looking at the project that both of us almost got on, we started seeing that they needed a creative director. They needed a chief marketing officer, right? And they needed human resources because things were not happening in their team the way that they needed to happen. They needed public relations in a big way. And a lot of people will hire somebody for public relations and they'll spend $3,000 to go get public relations done. And they'll be in front of the wrong audience, honestly. You know, like your audience may not be up at 6:30 in the morning on radio programming, and your audience may not be the Today Show. And even though that's awesome because you get to put a little peacock on your website saying as seen on NBC, it doesn't really make a difference if it's not hitting your market, right? And like Ashley mentioned, having an accountant is great and having a tax strategist are great, and having those people to talk to you throughout the year, because as a tax strategist, you can start to monetize a lot of things within your business a lot smarter if you know what you're supposed to do. And especially if every quarter when you're paying in taxes, if you're paying a huge chunk in, and you could be investing in philanthropy or different things with your business that reduce the amount that you have to pay, but also help your business in a greater area, right? Like the more that you can invest into your business, that's something that helps you grow and helps you make more money, right? venture capital relations. That's something that I work with hand in hand. So it's not only helping you become profitable in your business, but actually passing you off to other equity members. So people buying into your company. And that's something that I've heard. It's almost like being a baby shark, right? I've heard drastic things from companies about them selling off more stock in their company than should be given to people, in all honesty, right? And that's something that Ashley and we've been talking about how to support you and how to bring people into our team. And so we're really excited that, if you have stuff going on right now with even with Black Lives Matter, diversity, equality, and inclusion professionals, that's becoming something really necessary, because not only are we dealing with a Me Too movement that happened and got kicked off a few years ago, but we're dealing with sensitivity of we need to address things on a not only a company level externally, but also internally, right? To be more inclusive in our language. And going into the political season, that's something that, it is deeply frowned upon with all of my CEOs to even toe that line, right? Because we want to be inclusive to everybody, and we don't want to alienate somebody based upon their personal views, right? And that is something like, how do we do that? And so as companies grow, those are people that Ashley and I would love to pull in, because we're starting to actually form a board of directors. And so that's something that we want to tell you a little bit more about. So when we were talking, we realized when we started talking that we needed to do something as two professionals who could team up. Because from my standpoint, I can utilize Ashley's experience when I move people into what's referred to as the black. So as I move them into profitability and we start to get more capital coming in for invoices or deals, or we place contracts with HSN, or we land multiple profitable deals and launches, that's when we need someone like Ashley to come in and look at the cash flow and look at how we're managing it and how we're reinvesting it back into the business, right? And that's something that if we know that we need to pull in a staff member at the level that we're at right now, right? Assuming an algorithm doesn't change and assuming that Google's still working with our SEO, what's the forecast that we can predictably measure? And that's where bringing Ashley in has been invaluable and will be invaluable for clients that I have. Likewise, for her, when she has somebody and they see that they have a good forecast, if they're able to tap into my strength or my awareness, and they're able to see something that they didn't see because possibly that's not how their skill set as a CEO works, to get that vertical and then know exactly what they need to do. And when I work with CEOs, we look at all of the strategies, like what will make us profitable now, but what's also going to be in the long term, something when executed wisely will have a huge impact. So when we started talking, we were like, well, let's extend this to other very serious female CEOs who actually want to become profitable, right? This is somebody that has a business that is structured. This is somebody who, if you are one of these things, so if you are, say, a social media marketer and you're looking to actually have an agency, this might be for you to come on board and actually start to work as an interim chief marketing officer, where you're actually executing a higher level of service. And we're looking for those professionals. We're also looking for people who are CEOs. They want to actually have our expertise. And maybe you're not ready to pay us specifically to work with us, but you would like to know in our quarterlies what's going on and where you need to focus so that you can win. Because like Ashley told you, she had gone into a company and saw that they were spending more on their payment processor than they needed to. And we actually caught that in the company we almost went into together, that just that 0.5%, just that little 0.5% over the course of a year has a massive economic impact on someone's business. And that in and of itself could be it can be honestly an independent contractor who could at the end of the year put an additional 30% into your business if you had made that investment instead of wasting it on credit card processing fees. And same thing for my business. if I come into your organization and you're somewhat profitable and we figure out how to make it a bigger idea or how to make it even more profitable, not only are you giving jobs to other people, but you're also creating stability for yourself, which ultimately as business owners is something that we all want before our 5-year mark. And very few businesses make it beyond 5 years. So that's where Ashley and I really thought about this, and we want to invite you to join us.
We're just really excited about this opportunity. Hopefully some of you will find this useful, and you can reach out to us and we can kind of get you going in this program in our group. And whether that's connecting with us directly, as a CMO, CCD, etc., or if that's a business owner that kind of needs that guidance. So we're really looking forward to this.
Yes, absolutely. I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to offer this just as guidance. And like, if you are interested in actually joining us in the board of directors, and you are, like we said, human resources. So if you happen to be currently a virtual assistant and you're doing that, if you happen to do public relations and you're a good communications manager, chief communications officer is honestly a serious board member for a lot of people because they don't know why to say something, what to say, and when to say it. So, I mean, that's a very useful board member. If you're a creative director and you're great at branding and seeing something through all the change, if you happen to be in investing and you're looking for future startups to go take a part of, if you happen to be a diversity, equality, and inclusion professional, if you are an accountant, if you are a tax strategist, if you're a patent lawyer, if you're a lawyer, these are all people that we need to be pulling into this group with us. And as we get growing, we look forward to actually helping you to spread your expertise with lots of other people who need to know specifically from you what they can do. So if that's you, awesome. If you just happen to be a CEO and you want to get out of the struggle, you want to actually become profitable, you want to make greater than $50,000 a year in your business, not personally in your own pocket, but just in your business, then we really want you to connect with us in this free opportunity. And so we're going to just be offering it for the next 3 weeks to open the doors. And then after that, as we start assessing value, we're going to shift that. So do take us up on this free opportunity because we're going to do a 4th quarter kickoff. And we want to make sure that you get that information so that you can make sure that you're having the best 4th quarter that you can have to close out 2020 strong.